ณมหาวิทยาลัยอุบลราชธานีสมเกียรติศักดิ์ศรี
Hello, I am Kris. My nickname is Kris, and my real name is Sahibjeet Singh. I'm a 23-year Indian dude that's been living in Thailand for half of his life, and I sound like an American somehow, because that's what everybody say. More about myself would be, I really like to just read and make movies. That's one of my goals. My family, since our family tree is pretty huge, my grandmother had like 12 cousins, 12 siblings. So branches of our family were already in Thailand, in other provinces. But my father came here in 2008, and then I guess in 2011, he asked my mother to join him over here. So I didn't actually have a choice. My mother just said, "We're going to Thailand." And I said, "How is it like there?" She said, "It's very good." I said, "Oh yeah, all right, I'm in." So I didn't have an actual choice. That I was just brought to Thailand, and then I've grown accustomed to it, that I think that this is more like my actual home than the place I was born at. I could say that one of the things that it's my qualities, that I'm a nerd. So as me being a nerd, I have to know a few things. I'm a curious bloke, as you could say. And I like English in a way where it presents freedom. In a way, you can use 10 words to describe the same thing and it's still correct, which is one of the things that which got me into English. I thought, oh wait, I could learn 10 different kinds of vocabularies for the same thing. Like, that was pretty good. And then, first of all, I just started to talk to people when I came to Thailand. I did not speak Thai. I did not speak English, which was 13 years ago. So it was just lonely. Didn't have friends, and people were softly racist, which I wouldn't call not like in America where people are just, "Oh, we don't like you, get out of our country." Here, people would just come at the window of the classroom where I was in and then just look around in the window, which kind of made me feel like, oh wait, am I being looked at? And as a child, me experiencing this the first time, because I was the first time out of my element, I just didn't know. So my reaction was being hot-headed and just shouting. So I thought, okay, this is not gonna work, because they were calling my parents every other day or so just to calm me down. But there was no stopping other people either. So I thought, okay, if this doesn't work, let's just try to use my words as talking to them, which I thought was highly effective, Mm-hmm. And I started to talk English with teachers, as I knew a lot of vocabulary. Indian people are just born with a lot of English vocabulary. I guess maybe it's part of their culture, maybe it's because of the English history. Could be a lot of few things, but as a child, I just knew a few things that were only in English. I could say about grammar itself, I don't think it's as important as how a lot of Asians think it is. When I start speaking English as a native speaker, because you're a native speaker, if I come up to you and talk in English, and I'm not a native speaker, you know that, and I'm not speaking fluent English, like my grammar is broken, would you not talk to me? Would you not understand me? Or would you be impressed that this guy actually has some kind of bravery, that he came to talk to me and he's still sticking to it? Which I think a lot of people, it stops a lot of people. They're too afraid that their grammar is not perfect, that they won't even talk. If you just want to learn how to speak English, just watch the most generic sitcom, Friends. I don't like Friends, but I think it's really good. If you watch the first season and go to the last, you would be able to speak social English.
Yeah.
Because it's very social and it's commutative. It's how people used to hang out, not anymore, but the English is still very basic. And if you want to go a bit more deep into it, watch more complicated sitcoms with complicated dialogue. But I would say so, because since I never spoke English, it was just flat. I still don't have an accent. A lot of people would, even Americans would disagree. They do think I sound like an American, but are really flat. Because I don't have an American, like I don't have a New York accent or a Boston accent or a Texan accent. I just sound like a really flat guy whose English is easy to understand, which might just sound like American. Really a few. I told you the first one was when people just started to, go into the window. It would be just like this. I'm doing something and there would be few people and it looks like, oh, it's fun, I'm getting all the attention, but as a 9-year-old child, I did not know. And it was not harmful. People were not hitting me or anything. It was like harmless, soft racism. But that was one of the culture shocks. The second thing was actually seeing my brother puke his brains out as soon as we landed on the airport because he couldn't handle the Thai food smell. As being an Indian, we were mostly vegetarians, although our family is not like Hindu, so we are not vegetarians, but we were mostly vegetarians because it's easy to get food there. And I don't think meat in India is as clean in some places because it's not as high on demand. So overall, food was one of the culture shocks. It took me about 3 years to actually get to start eating something. And the first thing I ate was kapow musap, and I thought, oh, okay, I need to know more about that. So food was one of that. Talking to people was also one of that. I realized people are extremely chill here compared to where I came from at the time. So I didn't have to be that aggressive towards anybody either. That's why I had to learn how to communicate with them. And the first 3 years of my life, I studied in Assumption, and then I had to get out of that place. So I went to Youth Exchange School 2, which does not exist at the moment anymore. The first one does, yes, which is in Bangkok. Tremendous schools, one of the best places to actually be. Sadly, they had to shut down for personal reasons, but when I went in there, not a lot of people spoke English. And it was like a private school, so there weren't that many people to begin with. Assumption would have student count of 2,000 to 3,000. ES2 school would have, let's say, 600 to 700. And so I had to learn how to speak Thai at that time. And that's when I polished my Thai, because I was already speaking English for 3 years. And I didn't have the accent yet, I bet. Still, it was just there. I was using whatever I can't remember, I guess. But Thai started in 2014 when I moved to ES2 school. And I just heard it every single day for the 7 years of my life. So I think that's very good enough time. If you listen to piano every single day for this next 7 years of your life, I bet you can just play a few tunes by sound. And I think that's it's the underappreciated part of languages. You don't have to read that much. You don't have to learn every grammar. You got to talk to people. That's important because then you actually kind of get cues on what to do socially, because books don't teach you how social English work, or Thai as well. Yeah, that was food. People a little bit, because people were less aggressive here, which is also a really good thing. I love Thai people for being less aggressive. That's why I am less aggressive right now as an adult, so I think that, and just not being able to speak. And also Thailand reminded me a lot of Japan when I was a kid. I just thought, oh, it looks like my anime things. So that was one of the things.
Yeah, cool.
Overall, I like the place. Well, by law, I have to be Indian. I have an Indian passport. And I call myself Thai, but I have to have a visa every single year. Luckily, I'm super young and I'm learning at a university, so student visa will help. But I don't think in the future, if I want to live here permanently until I get a retirement visa, or just live here without working, that's not possible, at least yet. So Thailand is my spiritual home, because I stayed in Ubon way more than any other place in the world, and I remember Ubon mostly. Not saying other places, I don't remember other places, but Ubon is the most familiar at this point in my life. So Thailand is my real home. India is the home where I could always go back to and just survive, I guess. And they would still accept me and not kick me out because I am their citizen. USA is pretty interesting because a lot of people ask me, do I want to go there? I do want to go there. Do I want to live there? I don't know. I have no idea because I've never actually seen it the first-hand experience. People say a lot of stuff, but people say a lot of stuff about everything. You have to see what it's actually like. Is it really that good? Is it really that expensive? Is the health insurance really that messed up? Are people really that extreme at some times? I don't know, so I have to see that. So America might be a later thing in life where I would just go and see and then figure out if I want to actually stay there. I highly doubt it. Maybe somewhere, maybe in the future. India is just the next America right now because, you know, a lot of things come later in Asia. Like Thailand is going through the Americanization of itself, Bangkok especially. It's way more international than it was 3 to 4 years ago, and way more expensive as well because there are so many bougie restaurants now that will charge you 600 baht for a burger. And people pay for that because it's a tourism place now, you know. So I understand why it's happening, but it's also, why do I have to go to USA when the whole world is becoming USA? Think about that. Like USA is just, it's getting more and more restrictive, I guess, towards a lot of other things. And the other world, the rest of the world is just picking up now to what America had done in the 90s and in the early 2000s, which was mostly good. I mean, not good, I don't know, politically, but mostly good for themselves. And if we could just take those parts and apply it to what we have now, I think other countries would be a better choice. Although, whenever I go outside, people do say that I sound American, because I do, I guess. Would it be funny if I tell you I'm still learning English? I'm still learning English, because you say I sound American and native, but I'm still learning English. What does that mean? We could always learn, and I don't know enough. I would never know enough, to be honest. My brain is not a computer, so I'm just taking in as much stuff that I don't know about, like phonetics. For the first year, this is my second year, phonetics kind of irritated me a bit because it was not something I was used to, and it just came up way later in my life. But now I'm way more optimistic about it. I just think I have to do it, might as well enjoy learning it. Yeah. And I think in the future, my language skills would be much better. The reason why I came here was because I actually saw real life changes in people who I knew personally who never spoke English in their whole life, and then they studied in this course, which I'm studying right now, English and Communication, Liberal Arts at UBU, Ubon Ratchathani University. Yeah, they start speaking English, and that's how you start up, right? And I've noticed that they do teach you everything here, which is really cool. If you don't like a certain part, you could always learn something else, but also remember that the other parts are important. It's fair. It's really fair what every teacher does here, and that's why I think it's really good, because there's nothing, I don't feel cheated. I feel like, oh, whatever I did, even when I do good in tests, you know, and people are really nice here. Overall, I think if I wanted to go any other place, especially in Ubon province, there was no other place, there was no better place. I could have gone to some other universities that I'm not going to name for defamation reasons, but I don't think they're just as caring, if you understand what I mean. Even in some schools, especially with international students, people just put them on the sideline, but that's not how they advertise it. They advertise it as, we're going to take care of them, everything is going to be provided, and then they eventually sideline a few things, which I really enjoy UBU because they actually care about every single student who's here, and everybody could get something out of it, you know. Yeah, I do like UBU. I think this is the best place in Ubon right now to study because it's its own little town that is kind of self-sustained. Like it's part of Wareen, but it's quite far away where it's separated. Ubon is again quite far away, but UBU is its own thing now.